Okay. Hi, everyone. This is so beautiful. Hi,
Hi.
Tanya. Ah, Crystal and Maria. I like Elsa and Kelly. Gabby. Hi, Gabby. Um, Amazing. Okay, Kelly, I'm with my mother-in-law for yeah. Okay, pre-op appointment. Totally fine, Kelly, to just be listening in. I'm glad that you're here. And yeah, just sending you some love for this pre-op appointment for your mother-in-law. Um, For folks who have not been on one of these before, I'm just sharing EPT kind of behind the scenes and, doing it from this, allopathic standpoint of like, here's the focus that we're working on. Today is body image, as a way to kind of make, how do I want to say this? We know everyone that's here, whether you're tuning in live or not live, knows on some level that whatever's going on with you is not just about the thing. It's holistic. There's a lot that can be contributing to it, right? And so healing is not necessarily about finding the thing and like clearing it and getting rid of it. I see it more as, a holistic experience. So I'm using these titles to kind of, whoever is attracted to the, subject matter, body image, knowing that you are here to get something out of this today, whether or not you're the person that's like on the stage, if you will. So what's been really, really beautiful about these, that was not so unexpected, but just has kind of blown me out of the water, is after the session, we will kind of like turn this into small group sharing, and whoever wants to share what's come up for them, I highly recommend, using your voice and telling us. We've been opening up these spaces to have like really, really good connective healing dialogue. And it's just been super powerful to see another level of something that has kind of come to the surface. So the first session that we did around money and being supported was really connected to motherhood wounding. And then the next session that we did around worthiness and deserving or not deserving had a big connection to loyalties to people in your past. And everyone had, and sister, I feel like the sisterhood wound, we're all here to connect. Healing is connection, and the opposite of healing, I feel like, is separation. And so this ability to kind of be in a space and connect together is just really, really powerful. So I hope you're all doing well. You can use the chat. You can stay as anonymous as you'd like. The way that I have this recording, I think I figured it out correctly. I think the recording is just on Jimena and I. So feel free to drop things in the chat. During the session, I may be super, super focused on Jimena, and I may or may not see things in the chat, but I'll make sure that I address whatever. And if there's anything that you want to keep private, but you want to share, or to have shared, you can send it directly to me, and I can be sensitive to not use your name. So the intent is that everyone feels really safe here. Let's see, what else? What am I missing? Am I missing anything, Jimena, since you've been to a couple of these?
I think we wanted to just talk about how impactful EPT can be in comparison, even though you said it's not really a comparison to talk therapy.
Yeah, this has been coming up a little bit lately, where I've had people do first sessions with me, and I always forget, because I've been doing this for so long, that when you work with something like EPT, this modality, and you are trying to compare it to other things that people go to for support, like talk therapy, there's just a massive difference. I think that every healing modality has a place and a role, and talk therapy is incredible for allowing you to use your voice and allowing you to understand story and to really connect into like how your mind operates, and how you can, kind of intentionally attempt to shift your mind. Where something like EPT comes in, and it's really supportive, is if you're like, cool, I want to take my awareness and like shift, like I want to actually make transformation happen. I'm done like going around the story. I actually want to release the story, and I want to be in what is available to me now and moving forward. And so this modality is just super deep, where you'll see with Jimena, we're gonna go there, and I have no idea what's gonna come up. So that's the fun part on my side. And yeah, so again, all questions there's no questions off limits. What I would ask for you that are joining, I'm still letting some folks in, is that maybe just taking a deep breath, settling into your seat. If you don't have a journal or something handy to take notes on, make sure that you just give yourself that and just like settle in and set the intention of, something that you would like to soften and let go of around body image. That's what we're focusing on today. Something that you'd like to send some love to around, any energy that you carry in your system, whether it's physical, in your lineage, just in your auric body, that is incongruent, that is not congruent with total unconditional acceptance and grace with your body, with the vessel that we're here to be experiencing life through. So with that, you can drop your intentions in the chat if you'd like them to be seen, or you can just keep it with yourself. And what I've said before in these sessions is you may notice your own emotions coming forward. You may notice that your story might sound similar in some ways to Jimena and what she shares. Just take note of all those things. And it doesn't have to mean anything. If emotions are coming up, like, we want them to keep moving, they're meant to be moving. And so just witnessing them, seeing them, and acknowledging them, allowing them to continue their flow is the intention. And then, like I said at the very beginning, we'll have time to connect on this a little bit more later. So I think we can dive in. All right, let's do it. Yeah, let's do the breathing first, Jimena, and then we'll talk about what's happening here with you in body image specifically. So when you're ready, and anyone who's watching, you can kind of model what we're doing. Jimena, I'm going to have you put your hands on either side of your head, feet on the ground or uncrossed if you're laying in a bed or something. And we're going to do 6 deep breaths in your nose and out your mouth. On the breath in, we're just going to squeeze. On the breath out, we'll release. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and breathe. Good. And if you're tracking with me, we've got 3 more. Beautiful. When you feel complete, you can release your hands. And yes. All right, Jimena. So I picked you for body image for several reasons. One, because I believe that everybody that is a human that lives in a body has body image stuff that comes up in their lifetime. No matter the shape of the container that you're in, I'll just say that. And we've talked about it before, you've been mentioning how it's been coming up for you a lot lately. And, things that we're here to heal and shift and experience as humans are going to occur to us like in these spirals. So you may have worked on body image over here 2 years ago, and then you might have a cycle of it coming up again. And that's not a problem. You didn't mess up. It's just another layer, So yeah, wanting to be available for what is here today. I'd love for you to share a little bit about what's coming up for you.
Okay, yeah, body image has always been a thing, like forever, as long as I can remember. And I feel like in a way it keeps me from like fully going all in with somebody else, or like experiencing full intimacy with somebody else. I think with myself, I've learned to experience that, but yeah, with other people, it always gets complicated. So that's one thing. And then just, yeah, just acceptance. Like I want to work more on the acceptance of just whatever my body is or it looks like, and in whatever phase of life, you know.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a family where everyone, like my aunt and my mom and everybody, was so self-conscious, and like they really couldn't. My mom is actually very confident, but after her body changed, she's been not at all. And I had aunts that couldn't even leave the house without makeup on, like literally to go to the supermarket, like they would have to put makeup on, you know, like this was like
Yeah.
a thing. And I was always so, yeah, and my family was always about my physical body. What people would talk about, it wasn't anything else. It was just like appearance stuff. So that made me hold how I look like to like such a high regard instead of focusing on like other shit that matters more. Sorry for the cursing.
No apologies for the cursing. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of kind of like projections on you about your appearance and how you look. One thing about when I've worked with folks around image in whatever regard, and a lot of you that are here know my story around skin being a big part of my body image thing. That image has a lot to do with identity. You know, it's like it's the first thing that people feel and experience with us when they're meeting us or getting to know us, or how folks perceive. And then we also know all of the pervasive like meanings that everything means in our culture and all that kind of stuff. And so how do I want to say this? Having grace and compassion for the idea of identity being attached to an external appearance that is meant to change, and also the compassion for and grace and space for your identity, like your inner identity, to also have like the ability to shift as you grow, you know, and evolve. And how do those two things get to like, if we're just thinking of it as two things, like get to come together and experience life with you, like, you know, in unity. Yeah, so just thinking about that. Thank you
Yeah,
for giving us.
stuff also.
Say that again.
The skin stuff that has been coming up. Like I always had really great skin. And in the past, I think year, I've been breaking out like so badly. Like, yeah, it's getting so much better, but it's
Yeah.
been a whole process. And I know you can identify with this as well. And this whole identity, like how it's tied to my identity, makes so much sense, because I'm like going through a lot in my identity.
Change. Yeah.
A lot of change. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And a lot of us are, you know, and I mean, you're entering your Saturn return very soon, you know, so you are like, you know, at that energetic shift. And a lot of us, you know, we've all been changing, especially past few years, you know. And yeah, so a lot comes up. There was something I wanted to point out about what you said about your aunts that like had to put makeup on to leave the house. And just what I picked up on was like the frequency of your voice and what you were saying, the tone of like, there was something there that you didn't believe it was right, or something was like, there was judgment about them having to do that. And what if there's no judgment about that? Like, what if for some people it's like they choose to be, I'm just going to use this word, but like high maintenance. Like I choose to be high, I choose to put myself together to be high maintenance. And that's okay. Like, what if I had no judgment around the idea that like somebody else in my family like had to do something a certain way in order to feel good about themselves? Because underneath that, we all know what that feels like. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. And this idea of you being able to like take the self intimacy and self acceptance that you feel like you've created with your own self, and like allow that to enter into a partnership with somebody else. So just kind of like thinking about like having all those things in mind. Does that make sense before I dive in? Okay. Okay, go ahead and start with me. Just say, my name is Jimena.
My name is Jimena.
Good. My name is Beth.
My name is Beth.
Good. All right. So we're showing a distress. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're out of 10. Elation. No elation though, so we're not going to go into that. Stage of healing. 1, 2, 3. You're in bargaining. And I'm already burping. Okay. So bargaining, the stage of healing, I'm not going to go into all the different stages right now just to keep the session moving. But what you need to know from that, anyone watching, is that the goal for me and Jimena is to get her to stage 5, which is acceptance. And acceptance, I believe, is where like all the goodness happens from there. From a physiological standpoint, emotional, spiritual, mental, all that. Bargaining is like, okay, I know I have this issue, and so I'm going to go do this to fix this, or I'm going to keep this from happening. So I'm going to make something up around body image. This may not have anything to do with you, Jimena, but like if I'm carrying a body image issue, then I'm going to put myself on this diet that I learned about, that I saw have success for other people, in order for me to achieve that result. It is very like, this thing will fix this thing. There's no room for acceptance in that space. There's no room for, I love and accept myself as I am. I may not be exactly where I want to be, but I know I'm headed in the right direction, right? Like that, there's no space for that. It's like, we need to like follow this kind of, we're bargaining with, it's either this or it's that. And it's, yeah, it's just very black and white. And going back to the idea of like, it's separation, it's like cutting you off. So bargaining usually doesn't work sustainably. And so we'll then move into stage 4, which is depression, and then like slide back into denial or something like that. So our goal is to kind of like hop Jimena over stage 4 and get her into stage 5 at least. And then drop the distress. Of course, it's at a level 10. So we want to get it down. And I would like to see it between a 1 and a 3 if we can. So go ahead and say, I'm just going to test for congruency here. Is your system congruent around the body image stuff, around these statements? So go ahead and say, I'm okay to show up.
I'm okay to show up.
I'm okay to pay attention.
I'm okay to pay attention.
I'm okay to tell the truth.
I'm okay to tell the truth.
I'm okay to let go.
I'm okay to let go.
All right. You're not paying attention, telling the truth, or letting go.
Okay.
So for folks who've never done this before, it's not that she's like living her whole life like that. This is all of these things, bargaining, all of the tests, these like measurements are related to body image. This is not like for everything. So I just wanted to say that. All right, and it's showing that there are 2 issues that come up. So also part of the goal here is to get her congruent with those statements. Paying attention, yeah, we'll dive into it as it comes forward if we need to. So it just gives me some good information to work with this. So, all right, I'm going to have your system bring up the first issue. Good. All right. Is this current, past? We're going to go straight to past. Good. What age? Conception at birth, birth to 1, 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. So you're age 10. We've got a what? Move my stuff here. Money, cash, finances, job. So I'm just getting some details on what is being held in the system. So kind of again, we're looking for, I'm looking for the stuck emotions that are in Jimena's body and like system that are blocking the flow of acceptance, unconditional love, like our natural state, which is healing. And I'm going in by connecting into the emotional packages. So, all right. So you're at 10, you've got something to do with a job. We are in right kidney. Fear, myth, dread, paralyzed will, timid. Mom. All right, you're 10.
Okay.
Let me get this right. You're feeling mom's timidity. So like shyness with a past job of hers. So what was going on with her job situation when you're 10?
Mm, I'm not sure because she had the same job forever, but it was a very inconsistent job. It was like projects here and there. But I think when I was 9 is when she had to take me out of my private school to get me into like sort of a private school, but definitely not at the level that I liked or my school. Like I had to, yeah, she had to take me out of that because of money.
Mhm.
So it might have been something related. So maybe that's when it started to not be like great at her job.
At her
Like
job.
it's very consistent. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just testing to see if we're like on the right track with this, even though it's a little bit fuzzy.
Mhm.
Mom's timidity with a past job, past project. Yeah. So that is testing. Yeah, it's not about her actually taking you out, but what's coming up is like her feeling timid around the consistency around it, like actually being there, something that can be there for her.
Yeah. Also, like it was like 3 months that I was out of that school, and then she put me back in the school, but I think it was like from help from family members. Like it wasn't like she was already doing great and we could go back to that school. It was just kind of
Right.
like an extra effort, but yeah, like I was devastated. So I think there was no room for me not to be in that school,
Yeah. So it's like there's this inconsistency with her own ability to like make money to be able to pay for your life together. And
Mhm.
she takes you out. And then when you're making a big fuss about it, she figures out a way, but it's not through her. It's through like someone in the family.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Let me just ask. Are we going to go back any earlier to this? No. Okay. Yeah. Inconsistent. Okay. So we're going to move the mom's timidity out of your body. We're in the right kidney. So I'm going to have you put the back of your hand over your right kidney and the back of your other hand over your forehead. Perfect. And right kidney is lower back on the right side. And I'm just going to have you bring yourself to that time, being 10 and feeling, consciously, unconsciously, mom's timidity with her job situation because it wasn't consistent, and really just feeling timid in her own belief in herself to provide. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and breathe. Okay. Yep. Yep. Okay. Because I know you, this is probably why this is coming through this way, but I'm just gonna like drop this here and we can leave it and see how it comes up. But what came through there was your body image is your currency. You are an actress. You're like you, Jimena, like you are here.
My mom says this to me all the time since I was a kid. It was like, yeah, like you need to take care
Okay.
of yourself because it's your image, it's your career, basically.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. So like if if you cannot have a consistent, so going back to that consistency, because it sounds like it can ebb and flow. I can have it over here, but I can't have it over here. Like I can tell myself consciously that like I know I'm supposed to love myself and accept myself and blah blah blah, but when it comes to showing up in front of camera, when it comes to showing up in and sharing it, when you're talking about being intimate with someone, to me it's like sharing the fullness of your heart, whether that is with like a partner or like on stage, in like the fullness of what what creation energy is wanting to come through you. I know that sounds a little woo, but
No, total sense.
like it's scary. And it's like this pressure to keep it consistent. So I don't want to write a whole story around that. That just came through. I want to make sure we pick up more. But interesting that you've been told that then. So we're on the right track.
I just want to say that like sometimes I've gone into auditions and done a terrible job because I wasn't feeling good. Like I was feeling fat or some shit. Like I knew I didn't look good that day. So it literally affects my acting and my art and everything. Yeah. And it's been like that forever.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And that like even just goes back to that bargaining energy. Like if I don't feel skinny today, I cannot act well. Like those two things can't be there's no space for grace and compassion and all of it to exist, and you to even show up and be like, I feel fat today and I'm still acting, like, and I'm still expressing.
Yeah.
And it puts so much pressure on those moments rather than allowing life, like allowing yourself to live life. It's like it takes us out of the flow of I get to receive all that like life is showing me right now in this experience, and into I need to control the experience. And the only way I know how to control the experience is if these bargaining chips are in place. If I feel good in my body, then I know I can do well. And if I don't feel good in my body, then I know if I don't do well, that's why. Like it's like I need to know. Anyway, okay. Let's go. Let's find some more. All right. Are there any more emotions? Yes. We're still on this 10-year-old picture. Okay. So just going to ask for other emotional packages in her body that we can move. In your stomach. Discuss low self-esteem, nervous. Mine, your nervousness. Ooh, burping again. There's like one stuck in my throat. Okay, your nervousness at 10. So you could feel the nervousness, whatever that is. We already have the story around like mom's inconsistency, but if other things come up that you want to share that you feel like are either need to be voiced from you or make sense with what we're kind of like pulling together here, you're welcome to. So, but for now, I'm just gonna pull what we've got to do here to interrupt this pattern of nervousness, right? Sorry, I just left my body there for a second. I just realized I was on camera is what happened. I was like, oh yeah, we're in like a live video. So speaking of nervousness, that just came through. I could like, whew. All right, weak. Good. Right. And Jimena, nervousness, stomach, red. Okay. So put the back of your hand over your belly button, back of your other hand over your forehead. Yeah. And bring to mind being 10 and feeling nervous. And what I'm also kind of getting is just feeling nervous to perform. So whatever that means when you're 10, perform like being happy at the new school, like hiding something, whatever that is, bring that to your mind. And when you're ready, let's breathe, just interrupting this pattern. Ooh, good. Do one more deep breath. Good. And when you're complete, you can release your hands. Good. That felt good. Are there any more emotions? No. Okay, there were 2 issues. I didn't say that at the beginning, but I tested 2. We're going to move on to the second one. So issue 2, kind of like starting this process again. So shimmy. Second issue, good. This is current. Okay, that's interesting that we went to the past first. All right, so what possessions, yours, intangible, security, love, peace, respect, acceptance. freedom. Your freedom. Do left kidney. Paralyzed will. I think every one of these has had a paralyzed will, maybe. These live sessions. I'm like, should we just do one on paralyzed will? Mine. Okay, here we go. Current feeling, emotional pattern that's happening that you're storing in the left kidney is your sense of paralyzed will with your own freedom. So to explain paralyzed will, it's like, I have a will I want to carry out in the world. I have desire. I have something that I'm creating, and I'm paralyzed. I can't make it happen. I don't know how to make it happen. Something feels like a roadblock, yada, yada, yada. So for some reason, there's some energy around you feeling like stuck with being able to like claim or live in or feel your freedom. When I say that, what comes up for you?
Well, okay, so when you said freedom, the first thing that came to my head was that same, okay, so like if I don't feel good in my body or in my physical body, I haven't felt that freedom. Like I've seen people who are super comfortable with their bodies and they just feel free. Like they can just like I remember going to beach trips with my friends when I was younger and like seeing my friends just like taking off their thing, putting on the bathing suit and just jumping in the water. And for me, it was like a nerve attack. I had to like control the way in which I would even go in the water so no one could see me and shit like that. And I always craved that freedom of like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just living my life. I'm not thinking if I look fat or not right now. And I'm not thinking if I have cellulite or not right now. Like, so that is what I thought when it came to freedom. And I've always, honestly, this has been one of the things that I've just have always needed in my life. Like I always wanted and was so aware of people who carried themselves like that. Definitely getting better in that regard. And that's kind of what came up. And the freedom of again, like acting and truthfulness and like putting out my work and letting myself be seen in my career.
Yeah. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the paralyzed will, now that you explained it, I'm like, it makes total fucking sense about what I'm going through. Like what I've been going through, actually. It's not like a recent thing. Like there's so many things I want to do in my career and I just don't really put myself out there. Don't even do it. Like I've been trying to write this screenplay for like 2 years already and I haven't really even finished it. And I think about it daily, you know, I'm just not doing it. And with acting, the same, like I'm not letting myself be seen. It's changing. I'm definitely working on that right now, but it's been a thing.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. I just want to say I resonate very deeply with what you shared about that image of just taking off the cover and like running into the water. I don't really like water, but I shouldn't say that. I'm scared of water. Something I need to EPT on. But very distinctly, I very much know that feeling of like getting in or out, and like the way I like hold my frame specifically to get in or out of water, or to like when I feel like I'm being seen, which might be very different than like how I just hop in and out of the shower naked or like walk around my apartment, you know, where I feel comfortable. And so, yeah, there feels like, so I just wanted to say I empathize with that. And I don't think that that's a unique thing. But what I think is happening here is in your like in your system, in your mind, there's a thought that like the way to have success in my career, the way to like trust this like path that I'm going through that will be consistent, that will be the thing that like is my currency or whatever. I must have the kind of freedom that I've pictured in my mind as being like, I have to hit this like freedom in my body in order for this to happen. I know I've been saying that in different ways, but it's almost like, you know how we talk a lot about the highway, and you're on your own Jimena highway, and you're like, oh, in order to keep going on this highway that is like me living my life through the energy of like my desires. I desire to be an actress and to be seen and to be like expressing my creative work through the world in this way. You know, that is like already on your highway. Like there is a Jimena that exists that like at, you know, I keep moving my hands, but say we're here, we're like driving along it and she's like here, right? There's this thought, what happens, your mind gets hijacked and it's like, well, I need to go this way in order to go get that thing. And it's like your energy just like goes into, okay, now I need to funnel into like, I need to get free first in this way in order for this to happen. And so what we're, you know, attempting to do here with this work is just like reminding you that you already have the freedom within you. That's like baked in. It's not that someone gets to be free in their body and other people don't. Like we all truly, like on a very, you know, worthiness level, have the capacity for that. Now, doesn't mean things haven't occurred in your life that make it very hard for you to be able to access that. Like I'm not discounting any of that. And we know trauma takes us out of our body, you know, all that kind of stuff. But just if we're staying on this, your story here and what's happening, it's like trusting this idea that like instead of idolizing the freedom that you've like created as like from the judgment of this is what freedom looks like, we want you to stay in your own path and be like, where am I already free and how can I continue to expand my own freedom? Then ultimately likely grow into that picture because that's like something that excites you and whatever. But like when you're thinking about it right now, it comes with this energy of paralyzed will. It comes with the energy of, what was the other one? Feeling timid and nervous, right? And so then you're cultivating more of that. Is that making sense? Like you're cultivating more of the energy of like ickiness around your own version of what freedom looks like to you in your body. And so whenever you're trying to do that, you're just like running these energies through your system. And then that keeps you from doing what you actually want to do. Okay. And it like distracts you. I just see it as like confusion. It's like we can think about it lightly. And we don't, you know, we don't always have to go so deep and harsh with healing, but like if we think about it lightly, it's like my energy is confused. Like I've just confused my energy. My life force energy that like wants to be in this like direction is just like scattering a little bit. So let's just like call that back, you know, and like let it come back to you. Oh, okay. So let's check this out. Let's see if there's an earlier time we need to go back to around your freedom. Getting a no. Okay. Are there any more emotions we need to get? No. Trauma. Yeah. 1, 2. Phase 2. All right. So for folks who haven't done this with me yet, trauma is present in like 95% of my sessions. I'm not going to go into trauma that deeply today, but most of us, well, now that we've experienced the pandemic, all of us have experienced trauma in some way or another. So it's not something to be scared of. The way that I like to think about trauma and work with it is we have encoded something as traumatic because we've believed that we are completely alone in the situation some way or another. So emotionally alone or physically and emotionally alone, like actually alone. And so, you know, when you're 10 and you're feeling your mom, from what I know in your story, you didn't grow up with a father. So you've got like mom who's sole caretaker, breadwinner, all that kind of stuff. And you're feeling her feeling so deeply. It can trigger into like, okay, we're alone. Like I'm alone. I don't have, as a 10-year-old, control over any of this stuff. You didn't have control over making more money, getting into the school. You kind of actually did have control. You got into the school anyway, but like you didn't have control over what was underneath it, which is like creating consistency in life and trust, you know. And then on top of it, you're getting like the messaging that your body image is your currency. Like, okay, so then this is the thing I get to have control over. And so then when I enter my life and there are times where I don't have control over it, then I feel like I have no currency. and I have
Oh,
no,
also something that came up, and I just feel like it's important, is that
yeah.
when I mean, I got my period for the first time when I was turning 11, but I was actually 10. And I
Whoa.
was the first of all my friends to get my period. I didn't tell anyone for like 2 years. I was so ashamed of this. My body was changing. I was getting boobs. And my friends looked like they were 6 years old, you know, like I was like the giraffe of the group. I felt so big. I felt so, I, men started looking at me a certain way, like that kind of thing. So that
Yeah.
happened also.
Okay. Talking about identities shifting, I mean, your whole like container shifted, you know, of what,
Yeah.
oh my God. Yeah.
I was wearing a bra. Oh God.
Oh, God, when I learned about periods, you know, when they did it in school and they told us about it, I prayed for nights, like on my knees. God, please don't let me have my period until I'm at least 15. Please don't let me have my period until I
That
was
was
so
me.
scared.
I got it first.
I got mine last. I got my wish. I was
Lucky.
like almost, I was like 17, I think turning 17 or summer. Yeah, it was very late. Um,
Wow.
yeah, but then people were like, what's wrong with you? You know, it was like the other end. Like, what's wrong with you? Just a late bloomer. Um, but yeah, that whole time, I mean, that whole time is really scary. And we don't really, like when we're that young, we just really don't have the faculty to like totally understand what's going on. And you do feel very alone, like in that
Mhm.
change, because you know it's also that change is inevitable. It's like part of nature, it's part of how we grow, but yeah, it has a very huge impact. And this idea around like it's starting to feel scary for you to be seen is like really big.
Yeah.
Um, so trauma, let me go back to that really quick. Jimena is testing as phase 2. So we are going to honor that in her system. Phase 1, just so you can understand the difference between the two. Phase 1 looks like the right side of the brain getting really overactive, hypervigilant, the left side drops out. So it's like one side of the brain is trying to like process life by itself. And so then it's like on overdrive. As you can imagine, that could look like just needing to be hyper vigilant, like in your life, OCD tendencies, massive anxiety, that kind of thing. Phase 2 is what we enact when that isn't really working. And so then we jump into, and I'll actually connect it to like, that to me is like connected to fight and flight. Like it's like, okay, take action. I need to go like do something, right? Phase 2 is like freeze. Both sides have like disconnected. They're offline, and you've like, you know, from a spiritual sense, like your spirit kind of exits so that you don't have to encode and remember, like a lot of memory losses associated with phase 2, remember what occurred at that time. And I liken this to freeze and fawn. So when we're like, and I won't go into fawning, but, and you can look that up if you're not familiar, but a lot of women are very conditioned to fawn. And that's really like becoming very likable for your surroundings so that you are safe. So being
Mhm.
like the people pleaser or whatever, but what's happening is that you're like collapsing your energy. You're not holding your field anymore. And you are intelligently creating, you're like disarming yourself so that other people don't have a reason to target you to hurt you in some way. So, um, so phase 2, I'm gonna actually just ask Jimena to, I'm just gonna have her tap all over her head. I just do like all over my hairline. You can use both hands at the same time. I often say like, if you're tired, you know, just use one and then flip. The idea is not to just get one side of the head. You're trying to get the whole thing. Okay. Do you have any questions, Jimena, before we dive into this next section? Okay. For folks who are tuning in, if any of this is resonating for you, what we're going to do is say some statements. So we've identified the story here that's connected to where Jimena is stuck in her body image bargaining situation right now. And we are going to, we've like removed, we've, you know, kind of released the emotional patterns that are automatically triggered in her system. You know, she doesn't go to, hey, I want to feel, what was it, timid, paralyzed will, and nervous about the way I'm showing up in the world. Like she's not like consciously going to that. That's a program that's been running for her since at least age 10. And so to really support the system, the whole system, in releasing this, we want to invite it to like know that it's safe. So that's why I'm addressing trauma here, because we need Jimena to understand I'm not 10. I didn't just start my period. My mom isn't unstable with money, like isn't in control of like my whatever. It's not true that my body image is my currency, like all of those things. We need her 10-year-old self to feel safe to let that go and then reconcile all of the feelings that were there and the real experience that she had, and then create like a path forward that is more in alignment with what she wants, you know, more in alignment. I believe what you desire is who you be, like it's part of who you are. It's just as important as like, well, if we're talking about body image, it's like your desires are placed in your heart the same way that your hair was like chosen to be brown and the like special little freckles on your shoulders are there. Like it's a very unique part of your existence. And so this alignment is really to allow you to become more fully you in this world that we live in. Does that make sense? No, that's really long-winded. Okay.
To me,
Did I go off? Jimena and I work together. She supports me in some of the like behind the scenes part of running a business. And so she listens to me a lot talk about these things. So if you're like, what the hell is she, what the hell is she, you know, just say something and we'll talk about it in our little chat here in a couple minutes. But if any of these statements resonate with you, you are welcome to say them out loud as well. Using our voice is really, really powerful. So don't downplay that. And if not, yeah, just send your love to Jimena as we're shifting all of this for her. All right, let me set myself up. Jimena, you can start tapping and just take a deep breath in your nose and out your mouth. And just coming back into your body, feeling its edges, feeling gravity just do its thing, allowing your any kicked up energy that might be swirling around your head, just allowing it to sink down into your root. And acknowledging that you are not separate, you're not alone. You're here with me and with 11 other people, or 9, I'm not doing math right, but you're with people. We're not alone. And just feeling some gratitude for yourself for having the courage to be vulnerable and be seen in something that is deeply impacting your day-to-day life. That takes a lot of courage. And on this Scorpio South Node eclipse, just honoring everything you're letting go of, you're choosing to let go of. That's meant to fall away. Good. All right, so I'm just gonna have you repeat after me. I, Jimena, love and accept
I, Jimena, love and accept
the bargaining I have been in.
the bargaining I've been in.
Yeah, around my physical body,
Around my physical body.
around my appearance.
Around my appearance.
Yeah, that makes it difficult for me
That makes it difficult for me
to pay attention.
to pay attention.
Yeah, to know the truth.
To know the truth.
And to let go and be free.
To let go and be free.
Yeah, and breathe. Yeah, I forgive my mom when I'm 10.
I forgive my mom when I'm 10.
For her timidity and for her timidity.
For her timidity.
Yeah, in her ability to create consistency.
In her ability to create consistency.
Yeah, in my life.
In my life.
Yeah, I forgive my mom.
I forgive my mom.
For her, we're going to say this again, for her feeling timid.
For her feeling timid.
Yeah, about her about how she efficiently shows up.
About how efficiently she shows up
Yeah, to create consistency
to create consistency
in my life and hers.
in my life and hers,
Yeah, as it related to our basic needs.
as it's related to our basic needs.
Yeah, yeah, and breathe. Yeah, I forgive my 10-year-old self for taking on
I forgive my 10-year-old self for taking on
my mom's timidity and my nervousness,
my mom's timidity and my nervousness
yeah, around how to be safe in this world.
around how to be safe in this world
Yeah, and create consistency with resources.
and create consistency with resources.
Yeah, and breathe. Yeah, I'm going to say it more clearly here. It keeps coming in this weird way, but I forgive my 10-year-old self for picking up the belief
I forgive my 10-year-old self for picking up the belief
yeah, that, yeah, how do I want to say this? That consistency in my life is created externally.
that consistency in my life is created externally,
Yeah, that it depends on how I look
that it depends on how I look
and how people like me,
and how people like me
yeah, and what I can do with my looks
and what I can do with my looks
to get paid,
to get paid,
to create consistency.
to create consistency.
Yeah, and breathe. Yeah, I forgive my 10-year-old self for believing.
I forgive my 10-year-old self for believing.
Yeah, that I have. It's so interesting. There's so much that I have to be afraid.
That I have to be afraid
Yeah, of the inconsistency in life.
of the inconsistency in life
Yeah, because my mom didn't have control.
because my mom didn't have control
Yeah, um, with how much money she brought in.
with how much money she brought in
Yeah, to take care of our basic needs.
to take care of our basic needs
Yeah, and to give me what I desired
and to give me what I desired
without having to take it away.
without having to take it away.
Yeah, and breathe. Yeah, I forgive myself at 10 for believing.
I forgive myself at 10 for believing
Yeah, that I have to lose consistency.
that I have to lose consistency.
Yeah, and in a world where I lose consistency,
In a world where I lose consistency,
I am not safe.
I'm not safe.
Yeah, so I have to focus
So I have to focus
on bargaining with my body,
on bargaining with my body
yeah, as a way to create consistency in my life.
as a way to create consistency in my life,
Yeah. Even when I'm not in control.
even when I'm not in control,
Yeah, in all of the ways my body changes
in all of the ways my body changes
as I age.
as I age.
Yeah, and breathe. Yeah, I forgive the women in my family
I forgive the women in my family
who put so much emphasis on how I appeared.
who put so much emphasis on how I appeared,
Yeah, that taught me to be afraid
that taught me to be afraid
of losing my appearance.
of losing my appearance.
Yeah, that taught me that when it comes to appearance, I am not free.
That it taught me that what, sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, that taught me that when it comes to appearance,
That taught me that when it comes to appearance
yep, and my body,
in my body,
I'm not free.
I am not free.
Yeah, because of the way they taught me to believe about my body.
Because of the way they taught me to believe about my body.
Yeah, we'll say that again. Go ahead and breathe. So I want to just acknowledge that there's phase 2 trauma. So going back to that, and sometimes when we're working with that, Jimena could be like floating away a little bit, like checking out, this is kind of part of that paying attention energy that she wasn't congruent with, right? So we're going to just say this. I say yes.
I say yes.
To the confusion I feel.
To the confusion I feel.
Yeah. Around how I create safety in this world.
Around how I create safety in this world.
And how I create freedom in my body.
And how I create freedom in my body.
Yeah, because what I was taught when I was 10.
Because of what I was taught when I was 10.
Yeah, and breathe. And what I'm just going to say, and you can open your eyes and look at me for a moment. What I was saying about your this dynamic of people talking to you about your body and like putting all of this emphasis on how you appear, and that like teaching you how important that is, made you like a prisoner of your own appearance. So then you are not free. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Because they were free to not like their own bodies, and they were free to let their bodies be a certain way. But because you are known, because they taught you, you are known for having an appearance that we like. You are not free to shift that. You are not free to change. That is not, you can't change that, because if you change it, we might not like it. And so then you check out when you get your period, because everything's fucking changing. And you already have experienced a lack of consistency and safety from the root chakra of like, bills are paid, I can go to schooling that serves me, yada, yada. And feeling that heavily from mom, and also feeling her lack of control, or feeling like I do not have the strength or power to create what I need to create in this world. That's kind of like baked in there. But you are not free to then just be with your body as it is, as it changes, as it morphs. So is that making more sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Crazy
Okay.
that this is coming up.
Why is it crazy?
I've been aware of it. I don't think I knew to what extent, and I just didn't think this was going to come up today at all. Like that was not, yeah,
Not what you expected.
no.
So, yeah, I'm gonna have you go back to tapping. Yeah. Oh, there's so many places I want to go with this, but let me just calm down and read the energy a little bit. Yeah, I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing.
My body image.
My body image.
Yeah, is the only way.
Is the only way.
I can feel free in this world.
I can feel free in this world.
Yeah, I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing.
I have to be a prisoner to my body.
I have to be a prisoner of my body.
Yeah, based on what other people think.
Based on what other people think.
About how I appear.
About how I appear.
Yeah, in any given moment.
In any given moment.
Whether I'm 10.
Whether I'm 10.
Or 11 and started my period.
Or 11 and started my period.
Or 28 and get acne for the first time.
Or 28 and get acne for the first time.
Yeah, I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
I needed to put my attention on bargaining
I needed to put my attention on bargaining
with my body image.
with my body image
Yeah, in order for me to feel any freedom in my life.
in order for me to feel any freedom in my life.
Yeah, I call up the lie
I call up the lie
that I can't be free in my body.
that I can be free in my body.
I call it up out of the cells of my being
I call it out of the cells of my being
and release it for divine healing.
and release it for divine healing.
And breathe. Now, without this negative pattern
Without this negative pattern
of my paralyzed will with my freedom,
of my paralyzed will with my freedom,
I no longer need
I no longer need
to feel timid and nervous.
to feel timid or nervous.
Yeah, as my as my body is existing.
As my body is existing.
Yeah, as a way to validate my experience when I was 10.
As a way to validate my experience when I was 10.
Yeah, and breathe. Without this negative pattern,
Without this negative pattern,
I no longer need my body
I no longer need my body
to hold me back in my career.
to hold me back in my career.
Yeah, I don't need my body to make me believe I'm not free.
I don't need my body to make me believe I'm not free.
Yeah, as a way to validate what I believed when I was 10.
As a way to validate what I believed when I was 10.
Yeah, and breathe. Yeah, hmm. Yeah, I ask the women in my family to forgive me
I asked the women in my family to forgive me
for appearing to have something they didn't have.
for appearing to have something they didn't have.
Um, that they placed their projections on me.
That they placed their projections on me.
Yeah, to validate their own lack.
To validate their own lack.
Yeah, I ask them to forgive me for mirroring what they lacked.
I asked them to forgive me for mirroring back what they lacked.
Yeah, when I was 10.
When I was 10.
Yeah, and breathe. Yeah, I forgive the women in my family
I forgive the women in my family
for not knowing the truth about freedom.
for not knowing the truth about freedom.
Yeah, and for putting it into a very particular box.
And for putting it in a very particular box.
That had to do with a certain body image.
That had to do with a certain body image.
Yeah, and breathe. Yeah, I love and accept that was then.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, I love and accept that was then.
I love and accept that was then.
And this is now.
And this is now.
Yeah, I now know the truth.
I now know the truth.
That freedom in my body doesn't look a certain way.
That freedom in my body doesn't look a certain way.
Yeah, before I can feel freedom in my body.
Before I can feel freedom in my body.
Yeah, with this I choose.
With this I choose.
Yeah, to be happy.
To be happy.
Yeah. Even when
Even when
I'm not where I want to be yet.
I'm not where I want to be yet.
Yeah. And breathe. Yeah. Without this pattern, I choose
Without this pattern, I choose
to honor my body.
to honor my body.
Yeah. In union with my craft.
In union with my craft.
Yeah. As the vehicle for my expression.
As the vehicle for my expression.
Yeah. Even on a day I feel fat.
Even on a day I feel fat.
Yeah. Yeah. I give myself permission to choose courage.
I give myself permission to choose courage
Instead of fear.
instead of fear.
Yeah. Instead of bargaining.
Instead of bargaining.
Yeah. And breathe. Yeah. How do I want to say this? Yeah, I give myself with this new awareness.
With this new awareness,
I can let go of the idolizing. Yeah, I can let go of the idolization.
I can let go of the ideal. I can't say that word.
I'll say it again. With with this new awareness, I can stop idolizing.
With this new awareness, I can stop idolizing.
Yeah, the particular freedom that comes.
The particular freedom that comes.
Yeah, with like freely jumping into the water with your swimsuit.
With freely jumping into the water with your swimsuit.
Yeah, I love and accept letting go of the idol.
I let go and accept.
I love and accept.
I love and accept letting go.
Yeah, of the idol.
Of the idol.
Of freedom.
Of freedom.
Yeah, so I can experience the truth of freedom.
So I can experience the truth of freedom.
Yeah, even if I feel confused.
Even if I feel confused.
Even if I feel afraid.
Even if I feel afraid.
Yeah, and so it is.
And so it is.
Okay, take a deep breath. Okay, I'm going to open up the floor in a minute, but I want to check in. How are you feeling? I feel like we've got some journaling to do after this one.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be doing this.
Okay. Anything else coming up for you that you wanted to note?
Just how it all came full circle, like all these issues just kind of, yeah, it all just makes sense.
It's so interesting how it's like connected into being financially resourced too. Like allowing, instead of it being like, this bucket is about this, it's like I was saying at the beginning, we're coming in here like allopathically or whatever that word is, like that's like we're targeting this thing, but it's actually like it's connected to so much. It's connected to your belief in freedom. Like that's insane. Not insane, but that's like wild, you know, and like an early belief that you picked up around what it means to be free and how it needs to look a certain way. And so being able to drop idolizing this like picture of freedom, you can actually get to experience freedom. So again, it's like instead of getting off exit 63 where I thought freedom was, it's like I actually get to just be here and be with freedom. I get to choose freedom.
Yeah.
So let me just see where you are, and then what we've been doing is turning off the camera and letting, you know, some like really real dialogue happen. So we'll do that in a second, or not turn off the camera, turn off the recording. Let's see, so bringing your body image to your mind. Distress, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2. Yep, we're at a 2. And then stage of healing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're in stage 6. 6 is a little, it's like we're past acceptance, but it might feel a little murky. It's like, we call it light emerging. So it's almost like, all right, you're trying on a new look. This is a look I want, but does it actually feel good? Like you're gonna, be in the integration, let it integrate. It'll keep moving. And then I just want you to say, I'm okay to pay attention.
I'm okay to pay attention.
Perfect. I'm okay to tell the truth.
I'm okay to tell the truth.
I'm okay to let go.
I'm okay to let go.
Yeah, all 3 of those are strong. Good. All right, I feel like there's, what I would recommend for you is to, to like journal on the idea that your body image is not your currency, that currency and being supported and creating a life that is sustainable is your birthright. It is part of coming onto this planet, into this world. Like God didn't place us here so that we could like not survive, like just because you exist, you are worthy of being out of survival, you're worthy of experiencing life. And you're doing all the things to kind of help yourself be more available to that so you can believe that and live in congruency with that. Any questions before we like open up?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say that I also remembered before I even got my period, I was like 8, and my mom, obviously with love, right? Like that's what she thought, but she would tell me like that I should take care of my body and like exercise or whatever, not eat too much, because once I get my period, it was going to be really hard for me to lose weight. All that. And I was like 8 at this time. And it was also around the time when I decided to be an actress. So
Wow.
lots of things.
Shit, girl. Okay, so
Yeah.
in the next couple of days, if you could just, even writing a letter of like forgiveness to your mom for putting these bullshit beliefs in your mind, like you don't have to gain weight when you get your period. Like things might shuffle around or whatever, but it doesn't mean, you know this, right? And so being able to just like do that and like have a little burn ceremony, release it with this Scorpio energy. But I'm even thinking about like what I know, something, stuff about your period that you've shared with me recently too, around periods and intimacy and all this stuff. It just feels like a really rich place for you to kind of like bring a lot of compassion and acceptance and this is part of me. This is like part of my expression of life is bleeding too, and everything that occurs to like allow that to happen. We don't want paralyzed will around our body's natural functioning too. So yeah. I'm glad that we work together so I can keep hearing how this progresses for you. All right, so I'm going to stop the recording and we'll chat.